The wind is picking up. The waves are picking up here as well.
And police aren't releasing many details of what happened inside.
Can we ask you some questions about the school?
I saw canines going into this building back here. I also saw crime scene techs going in there with some camera equipment. All lanes open here on Highway 17 bypass. And you'll also hear from a man who said he was living in this hotel when that fire started. The new cameras would be able to see children sitting here in the front as well as here in the middle. I've seen several Horry County PD officers as well as investigators going into these woods. So if they're not in zone A or B, they have not been asked to evacuate.
We've seen several along Barefoot Landing. These trees have completely uprooted. Most of Front Street is okay, but this dip down here, kind of near Broad Street, has a lot of water. And if someone used a drone without permission, they could face serious consequences. Those brine trucks will be out, and even some trucks with pure salt just in case.
But News 13's Abby O'Brien found out the issues run much deeper than money and records. Abby.
Dr. William Altman's office sits on the corner of 5th Avenue North and Poplar Drive in Surfside Beach. It's closed now, but on its Facebook page, several patients say he owes them money.
All right, James, come on up.
Jim Tursky took his concerns to court Wednesday afternoon.
Raise your right hand.
Tursky said he paid $6,000 up front for implant work.
After seeing him for about 2 years, going through the process, the office suddenly shut down. There was a credit owed back to me for work that wasn't completed because he didn't complete the implants.
He noticed Dr. Altman wasn't around towards the end.
When I was making my monthly checkups, kind of got a little shady in there. There were visiting dentists from different offices that were filling in for him.
Then this email was sent to patients on October 31st saying the office was closing because of Dr. Altman's health issues.
They've just disappeared.
Jeff Montgomery said he's also owed money for a procedure that wasn't completed.
And I paid for it in full at the time of the implant. And when I called back at about the end of October to set up the appointment for the crown, he had got sick and they were closing the office up.
He was told to contact the CPA.
So I wrote a letter and sent it in there, never heard anything back.
Papers now cover windows at the office, and while there was a car in the driveway Wednesday afternoon, no one answered when I knocked. Altman didn't show up to court on Wednesday, and the judge ordered him to give Tursky over $2,000.
And that will be the ruling of the court.
I also found out many people, including Mr. Tursky, have contacted attorney Dr. Olivia Palmer. She told me she's investigating about 20 allegations of medical malpractice against Dr. Altman. I left a voicemail at Dr. Altman's Surfside office and called another office he owns in Darlington, but still have not heard from him. You can count on News 13 to continue following this story. Reporting for News 13, I'm Abby O'Brien.
Stay-at-home mom Abby Edwards has her hands full. On top of taking care of 4 kids, Edwards is deaf.
If there was a fire or some kind of emergency, I would have to text someone to call 911 for me.
A scary situation she's experienced.
I had to do that when my daughter was 6 months old, and it was a very scary situation.
When her daughter needed to get to the hospital, Edwards had to text her mom to call 911.
And I never want to have to do that again.
Which is why she's glad Horry County is working to get a Text 911 feature.
I feel that texting 911 could be life-saving and much quicker.
Director of Horry County E911, Renee Hardwick, said it's a feature anyone could use.
You have a domestic violence situation where somebody can't talk, whether it would cause them harm or put them in a situation that would be dangerous, or a kidnapping, or something of that nature. We want to be able to help people.
Hardwick said it will take time to replace the 911 system.
Anything we do, if we save one life, then it's worth all the energy and the money we've spent to do it.
Edwards said it will give her peace of mind when she's home alone with the kids.
So texting 911 would give me that same direct access to 911 that everyone else has.
In the heart of downtown Nichols, there are no people and most businesses are still closed.
It looks so pitiful.
But just up the road, there's something to celebrate.
1, 2, 3.
Carolyn Boykin was able to come home for the first time since her house was destroyed last October.
It was really devastating. It changed my life completely. But you know, good come out of it.
She's called Nichols home her entire life.
And my mother lived here, my grandmother lived here. And it's just home. I love it. I love it in Nichols. It's a great town. Everybody's wonderful. And I'm just so thankful.
Boykin worked with Carolyn Johnson from Palmetto Disaster Recovery.
God sent her to me. She was an angel.
Listen, you don't even understand how happy I am because Ms. Boykin is a very deserving client.
Johnson said it took several months to get the home completed.
We advocated for her to get her back in her home, worked with some nonprofit groups as well as the city of Nichols, who use funds from various sources to assist Ms. Boykin in getting back into her home.
She said this is one example of the town making a comeback.
It's definitely going to be a process, but we are earnestly trying.
And Boykin's ready to get back to enjoying the simpler things in life.
I'm happy. I'm excited.
He's a soccer player and a toy lover. To the average eye, Griffin Steele is a typical 7-year-old boy. But on Saturday, Griffin added amateur detective to his resume when he discovered all of this cash.
I didn't really know at all what I thought.
Griffin and his father Shane stopped at a gas station to put some air in their tires.
And I got thirsty, so we went to the store, but before we went in, I found this $20 bill and it had this red dye on it, and this red stuff on it.
Griff picked it up and handed it to me, but the side of it was red and it looked, I don't know, it was just odd.
But it wasn't just one $20 bill.
I had some wrapping from my Gatorade bottle, so I went to the trash can and I threw it in, and there was tons of money with red dye on it.
And he goes, "Dad, this whole trash can's full of money."
So Steele called the police and found out they were looking for 35-year-old Brian Humphreys Jr. Humphreys has been named the suspect in 2 bank robberies in the last week.
There's a lot of it that didn't have any of the things on it, but I wanted to do the right thing.
Not a surprise for a kid who was given an integrity award from his teachers earlier this year.
The moral lesson for him that, you know, you do what's right and that'll be the best path.
And while Griffin has enjoyed the spotlight,
I told a lot of my friends, I told teachers too.
He can now go back to being that typical 7-year-old.
Hey.